reaction to hearing that Adam Gase's name is floated around what offensive coordinator position?
Luckily, when I read that, I was already on the toilet. So when
It was
I had the
convenient.
urge to crap my pants, I didn't have to worry about actually crapping my pants. Um, yeah, I think, I don't know. It's almost offensive to some of the players. For example, Jamal Adams. It's like,
Yeah.
as a defensive player, he wouldn't have to deal with him that much. But I mean, you just look at the guys that have played under Adam Gase, especially in offensive positions, and then have finally broken away from his prison, and performance is always better. I don't think Adam Gase should have a job in the NFL like at all. At least an important job. I think, he's just, in my opinion, driven himself out of all standing, all respect, everything. I just don't know why the Seahawks wouldn't consider him. I'm really hoping it's just some sort of weird courtesy. Like, oh, well, you were a head coach, so as a courtesy, we'll interview you. But it's also like, that was a waste of everyone's time. And oh my gosh, if they were to hire him, it would go
Yeah.
from the Seahawks being one of those teams that always makes good decisions to possibly the dumbest team in the NFL. And I don't want to affiliate myself with that. So
Yeah, you don't want Adam Gase calling plays for Russell Wilson out there and,
oh my
you know,
gosh,
drawing up the offense, man. Doesn't sound
absolutely
good.
not. But there are a long list of candidates, and in my opinion, a lot better ones. I think it's just one of those things where his name was on the list and he was pleasured with an interview. And of course, everyone's going to want to make news about it. So it's probably a
Yeah.
bigger deal than it is. At least I hope so. But I do think if I were Jamal Adams, I would be absolutely pissed. It's like, hey, I came to you guys and thought you were smart and good. Like, I was excited to be here. And now you're going to interview Adam Gase? Like,
The butthole himself.
what are your
Yeah,
guys' thoughts? What's the first thought that went through your minds when you saw that?
I just laughed, man.
Well,
I just thought of how fun it'd be to talk to you about it on this podcast. That's what I thought.
well, I was even more like in shock because when I first saw the news, I thought that they had hired him, and then I looked further into it, and I was like, oh wait, he's just interviewed. Okay, sigh of relief.
That's exactly what I was like. I just saw Seahawks Doug Peterson or Adam Gase, and I was like, oh no. Oh no.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, when I joined the video chat, I heard you guys talking about like other contenders, and it made me think about what I've been thinking about all day, dudes. And I'm getting my hopes way too up that the Broncos are going to find a way to get Deshaun Watson on their team, dude. Like, I'm way too excited because I know, like, deep down, like, it's not going to happen. But guys, can you imagine? First of all, imagine if Deshaun Watson trade happens, which, like, I feel like since last week when we kind of talked about it, like, the I guess the feeling is only intensified that that's probably going to happen. Like report after report that Deshaun's not going to play for Houston anymore.
Yeah.
And then, man, when I think of like we got a new general manager in Denver, we got to shake things up. Half a decade of mediocrity. Like, man, make a splash. Go get Deshaun Watson. Oh, my dreams would come true. I hardly don't care what it would cost.
Yeah.
I would give I'd give 3 first-round picks for him, for sure. Easily. And someone good.
Well, to me, like, just hearing you say that, just further makes an indictment on Drew Lock, because I'm thinking, okay, Deshaun Watson with Jerry Jeudy, Cortland Sutton, Melvin Gordon, Philip Lindsay. How are they not winning more games? And then that defense is still great. Defense is what helps them stay whatever they finished at. Not bottom of the league, top pick. So, and Von Miller's coming back. And just think about that. It's like that just makes the AFC West just even more full of contenders and more interesting. If the Deshaun Watson comes in and shakes things up, the Broncos are suddenly, contenders.
We're contenders if we have Deshaun Watson. Now, that's true of almost any team. There's not that many teams that could say they wouldn't at least be in the mix. Yeah. But yeah, I'm thinking of the same things as you. Like with all the weapons we have in Denver, like our weapons are kind of not, we're not put on a pedestal in the league just because they aren't really being used. Because Drew Lock had a mediocre season. We've been mediocre for years, but man, it would be like, I would think, if that actually happened, not saying it will, again, I have to tell myself once an hour, it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. Stop being excited. It's like when you're a kid and it's like Christmas, it's like coming up to Christmas and you ask for like something huge from your parents. That's like your dream. And you in your heart of hearts, it's not going to happen, but you still like imagine you might get it. You're like, dude, I might get it.
Yeah. And I honestly think Deshaun Watson is one of those guys that could go to a team. Just his presence and his skill and his abilities could 100% improve the team in every way.
Yeah, absolutely. And I guess the one thing, if I am going to give us hope, let's say Deshaun actually gets traded, I do think Denver should be viewed as an actual pretty good destination right now. Number one, it's obviously, it's an established good franchise that we've been on the downward for 5 years, but the Broncos are, we're not the Jaguars or something like that, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then, all those weapons, I think the other teams that are, contenders, I don't know if any of them have the weapons. Obviously, like the Jets' name is thrown out there because they have draft picks. Like Deshaun, he's going to have a big say in this thing because there's a no trade clause in his contract. Exactly. So he has to basically approve anything that happens. So if I'm Deshaun, I'm not dying to go to the Jets, even though like Adam Gase is left. Like there's offensively, I don't know are there any. I can't think I can name a single offensive player on the New York Jets right now, and maybe they traded away Lev Bell.
Are gone now. I don't remember who their even number one wideout is. I'd have to look it up.
I can't. I don't know why I can't. But I mean, we got Miami as another name, which they're good. They're really good, but offensively, again, I don't think they have the weapons necessarily. They have a great defense and they have a good team that's on the up and up, but I don't know. If it happens, I'll be excited. Again, I won't get my hopes up, but I think if I were the Broncos and there was a chance to get Deshaun Watson, there's almost no price I wouldn't consider. Like that's a franchise future changing move.
Absolutely. I think that's one thing too. For Deshaun to be wanting to make a move like this, it needs to at least be a smart move. And if one of the reasons he is leaving is because he's bitter and upset that they traded away his best weapon and they haven't handled his weapons very well since he's been there, it would be dumb for him to go to another team that also doesn't have weapons. Where you have Jerry Jeudy, that it was his rookie year, right? He's a rookie. Yeah.
First year, and he was really, before he played his first snap in the NFL, me and lots of other people are like, this kid's special.
Yeah.
And he only proved that throughout the year. He looked great.
Absolutely. And, that's the thing. You don't consider him a top 10 wide receiver in the NFL, probably. But for your rookie year and how impressive he was with the quarterback he was playing with, he had a stellar season. And that's a weapon where if you're Deshaun Watson, you go, yeah, I want to play with people like that will make something of themselves in the coming years and not just watch the
Jerry and Cortland Sutton was out the whole year, but before that, he was playing great with the likes of Drew Lock and
Mhm.
Joe Flacco and all these other quarterbacks, and he's had great season every year. So,
Yeah. Here's one
um,
here's one interesting stat I found about Deshaun Watson today too. I pulled it up because I don't want to get it wrong. But right now he is the NFL's all-time leader in completion percentage. This season he had 8.9 yards per attempt. His
jeez,
career is 8.3. And of course he has a short career, but same thing. When you're considering the offensive line that was protecting him, the
dude,
one good weapon he had, the struggles he's had, the injuries he's had, Drew Brees is second. Okay.
per
all
attempt
time.
or
Second all time. So technically,
In,
Deshaun Watson is all time leader, even though it's based on a shorter career.
right.
Drew Brees is second, and it's 7.6. So there's a large gap. Large gap.
huge, man. I bet
Yeah.
Drew Lock had less like yards per completion than he has per attempt.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly. But
jeez.
what I'm saying is Deshaun Watson, and I think people say this all the time, but the numbers and the wins to losses and stuff just do not represent how good he is. And
No.
if he goes somewhere like the Broncos, possibly Miami, or any other team that has kind of their crap together, those numbers will, those stats will grow, and I think we'll really see how capable he is as a quarterback.
Yeah. One of the last things I want to say on the Deshaun Watson thing is just kind of how weird the situation really is. Like, how many times have you seen a player like demand a trade and it has nothing to do with money at all? Like, and it's not even really, I mean, yeah, they're losing, but it's really, he's pissed because they're not including him in like decision making, like who they're hiring. I don't know if I can think of a time that like that's been the linchpin of someone saying, I want out because I don't get a say in who you hire as general manager or who you trade away. That's just a bit, it's just a unique situation, is all I've kind of thought on. Like, it's because he just got paid. He's got tons of money. That's not a problem.
Well, I think it's that way because he's a quarterback, and I think what also makes it unique is that doesn't happen with quarterbacks that often. Like quarterbacks usually don't demand trades, and they usually don't hold out, and so that in itself is a unique situation. And as a quarterback, you're more likely to be entitled to those um, privileges of being involved in that kind of thing. Whereas if you're a wide receiver, which I think is a more common position for this to happen, and other skill positions, they're not in that position to bargain with the owner to do that. So I think that
Yeah.
also makes it a little bit more unique in that way, because quarterbacks usually they're like, I'll stay as long as you put a team around me, and usually they don't leave unless like they become a free agent or something, or they have a no franchise tag clause or something.
Yeah.
So yeah, the whole thing is different, but it's exciting. I think this could change the way the NFL operates with this happening. It'll
Yeah.
empower more players to leave, and more it'll be seen as more. I don't know what the word is.
I think, are
Not
you like
won't
more
have
of
a
like a
stigma.
player-driven league, like the NBA
Right.
almost, kind of, where
Right.
like players have more power? And I
Yeah.
mean, yeah, that's what I have the same exact takeaway from it. It's just like, I guess, yeah, only a quarterback could do it, but even of quarterbacks, like how many quarterbacks would do it?
Yeah,
You know?
exactly. Like before, like quarterbacks are just like, I'll I'll play.
Yeah. I
Mhm.
mean,
know?
Aaron Rodgers, they could have drafted him weapons. They draft his replacement and their all-star running backs replacement or backup. And
Yeah.
like, yeah, that sucks, but like, you wouldn't imagine him like demanding a trade over something like that, I guess. You know what I guess what I'm trying to say, it's kind of unprecedented.
Mhm.
Right. Yeah.
I think,
I,
more power to the players is always good, but I can definitely see if it started to trend that way, it could be really unhealthy for the NFL, just in the sense that everyone wants to leave, like the Texans, for example. it's going to be hard for the Texans to be relevant at all for a long time, because pretty much the only way they'll be able to get good players if they have that tarnished of a reputation, where obviously it's like, okay, you obviously, if you have that, you kind of deserve it and you're doing a lot of things wrong, but they would have to draft players and hope that those players are good enough to compete with the rest of the NFL, or else they'll consistently have losing seasons, where it's like, you know, of course we want to prevent that as much as we can, but at the same time, you know, it's kind of sport. I can just see when everyone wants to jump ship, it kind of screws that team and its fan base over for an extended amount of time.
Yeah, it definitely does. And like, I wonder if other teams are kind of like, well, what exactly is going to like set Deshaun Watson off if he's our quarterback? Like, he's this mad about some moves they made, which sure, I think most of the league looks at the trading of DeAndre Hopkins like, yeah, that was dumb. And they didn't involve him in the hiring of a GM. I think most teams would say we don't need to include our quarterback in our hiring. Like, that's a courtesy. That's nice to do, but like, that's not a requirement for any player to be a part of that, even your quarterback. So I wonder if it does start a new thing where especially quarterbacks are like, I mean, what I'm saying is, are other teams like, if we draft someone wrong, is Deshaun going to be pissed? If we trade someone away, is he going to be mad? Or are other quarterbacks going to start throwing a fit more often over, you know, decisions that aren't their decisions? And I don't know. I think I could see that being negative for sure. You know, kind of like you talk about, Thomas, if players are demanding trades all the time. Like, I guess my mind's going like, where would this leave us? Like, teams, like, are we making super teams in the NFL eventually because players are like demanding a trade to this team and everyone's like grouping up like the NBA? Like, I don't want that. I don't.
Absolutely not. And I think cap space helps with that. But
cap space helps, but also like it's harder. Like, the NBA has a different culture, whereas like most people follow players anyway, and the teams don't matter as much in the NFL. And also, like, you could have 3 point guards in the NBA and they just play a different position and it doesn't change that much at all. Whereas there's only 32 spots in the NFL for a starting quarterback. And like, a destination where Deshaun Watson would want to go are kind of limited because most places that are successful already have a franchise quarterback and don't want him anyway. And so it makes it like he's in a position where it's kind of a rare thing where like Miami has everything but the quarterback and Denver has a lot of things besides the quarterback. But that doesn't happen too often, where you can definitely see like we're a franchise quarterback away from being great and it always being desirable, because while at the same time that's all great and all, but Miami has a history of being bad. The Jets have a history of being bad. The Bears have a history of being bad. So, you know, like, and mismanaging everything. So it's not like Deshaun Watson has a ton of choices in the first place.
Yeah, well, that's true to a point, because those teams we've talked about are like, at least maybe to us, the ones that stand out. But if you think a little further, like, how many teams wouldn't take Deshaun Watson? I mean, you're Cowboys. Do you want Deshaun Watson or Dak Prescott?
Well, I would want Deshaun Watson, but
yeah,
like, but still, like, Jerry Jones and like wouldn't do it though.
Yeah.
You don't think he would even consider it if it was a possibility to go get? He's clearly not married to Dak Prescott.
He'd think about it, but I know, but I don't know. That's just a weird situation.
I guess what I'm saying is, unless your quarterback is Patrick Mahomes, yeah, actually, Patrick Mahomes end list, I think every team's at least considering it. And now, obviously, if your quarterback's Russell Wilson, Aaron Rodgers, and a few others, you're probably not considering it for long. But I think almost every other team's like, we're maybe better if we have him.
Well, I mean, both parties have to be okay with it too. Like, let's say Minnesota. Like, Minnesota would definitely get rid of Kirk Cousins.
Oh, heartbeat.
But Houston's not taking Kirk Cousins' contract.
Yeah.
For Deshaun Watson, so it's like cool that you want to go to Vikings, but you know, you have that no trade clause, and the Vikings don't want you, so we're not making that trade.
Dude.
Let's,
The Eagles are going to try and deal Carson Wentz for Deshaun Watson, dude.
That's like
if Bill O'Brien was there, he would take it too.
yeah, seriously. Dude, that reminds me of the
contracts.
SpongeBob episode where Mr. Krabs is selling Patrick like a hat or something. He's like, that'll be $5. I guess it's not the exact same thing, but he's just like, that'll be X amount of money. He's like, I've only got I've only got Carson Wentz. Like, no deal. Okay,
dude.
that was a terrible.
Yeah, that was pretty bad.
You tried your best on that one.
Yeah, it's all right.
Maybe we'll just edit that out.
If any of our viewers have watched SpongeBob, they know what you were trying to say. If they haven't watched SpongeBob, then whatever. Okay. Was there any other like league non-playoff game news that caught your guys' attention? Man, I know there was more hirings and more moves made.
Yeah.
But the playoffs have a way of making me forget everything.
Yeah. I can't remember if we talked about this last week or not, or when it happened. Remind me if I'm wrong. But Salah is now the head coach of the Jets.
Yes.
Yeah, the defensive coordinator of the 49ers.
Yep. Who's a fantastic defensive coordinator. He, at one time, was on the coaching staff of the Seahawks, and he was great. Went to the 49ers, made an extremely dominant defense in just a few years. What do you guys think? Is something like that enough to kind of maybe make the Jets' future a little bit brighter?
A little bit brighter. It's a good first step. I mean, I like the hire. I would say it's a very promising hire. It's not necessarily one that I'm like it's a slam dunk going to succeed in the role, but I think he has a better shot than average, like of an average head coaching hire. But the Jets have to fill a lot more holes than just the coaching position. They've traded away almost all their skilled players, and they're going to have to make up for it in draft, I guess, free agency when possible. So they have a long way to go, and that's a good start.
Yeah, I agree. They're not going to turn around overnight. They're rebuilding. It's not like a Brown situation where they had been getting all the pieces and then finally found the coach. Yeah, they still need a lot of players, but I can see like all he needs to do is in those losing years while they're still rebuilding is just gain the faith of the players. And if he has that and the players like him and they believe in his system and what's going on, they'll get out of the rut.
Mm-hmm. Well, and I think, that guy has so much excitement and energy, and he literally, someone's job on Sundays is to make sure he doesn't run out onto the field and bump into refs when he freaks out over good plays and stuff like that. And I think, even just that, I think the Jets could use, because, I mean, talk about a lackluster, unexcited team. I think that's the Jets this year. So they could definitely use a hype train of a head coach.
They need a spark for sure.
Yeah. The Chargers also hired a head coach.
Yeah.
I'm forgetting his name, but he was the defensive coordinator of the Rams?
Yes.
Something like that. Yeah, that was an interesting hire. I wasn't expecting that.
Oh my gosh. Oh, we're forgetting. Okay, yeah. Big news in the NFL. The Jaguars hired Urban Meyer.
Oh, yeah.
As their,
yeah.
I forgot that.
I thought we already talked about that, but maybe we didn't.
I think that happened since
that
last
seemed
week.
so long ago, like we covered it on the other podcast, but we didn't.
Exactly.
This week.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
That's big news. That's big time. I mean, Urban Meyer is one where I can't think of a much better coaching hire. I mean, just someone who knows how to win, basically. And I don't know what more you can ask for. And then Jaguars are going to get Trevor Lawrence.
I think that's the only way they got Urban Meyer to come too. Like, hey, We're gonna get Trevor Lawrence.
That's a big deal.
Otherwise, why would you want the Jacksonville job?
Yeah.
But
Same thing though. That's all you need. A good head coach, a good quarterback, rebuild for a few years, build a team around him. I think the Jaguars will be a threat 2-3 years down the road.
Yeah.
here's my question though: is who do you think would lose patience first? The Jaguars owner, Shad Khan, or Urban Meyer when they start losing right off the bat? You know, like because like they still need to rebuild, and like the expectations are pretty high for Urban Meyer with that slam dunk of a coach. Luckily, he's in a small market where no one really cares what's happening in Jacksonville. But like, if the Jacksonville Jaguars aren't winning the first like 2 years, I don't know. Do you think like the Jaguars as an organization have the patience for Urban Meyer to rebuild the team?
I think they do this time because they have to. Like, because if you're the Jaguars and you're looking at your situation, like we got the coach, probably the coach that anyone looking for a coach would love to have had, and we got the quarterback. Like, if this doesn't work out, if you don't have the patience and fortitude to see this through, what are you going to have the patience for? Mm-hmm. And I also think the other thing is the big headline coaching hires, like Urban Meyer. I think one of the last ones was like John Gruden. You know, when the Raiders got John Gruden, that was splash news. Like, wow, they signed him to a freaking 10-year contract. And when you go get a coach like that, they get a longer leash than even like Salah over in the Jets, who, you know, he's a promising coordinator, but he's not the big name of Meyer, Gruden. So I think the Jacksonville Jaguars will give Urban Meyer and Trevor Lawrence the time they need. But it will be, I mean, I would say that's about 3 years of solid patience. And if at the end of 3 years, if things aren't drastically different from now, I mean, things should be different from this year next year. By that, I mean like 3-4 wins, hopefully at least. Yeah. But if in 3 years, if you're not a playoff contender, then you start really assessing what's going on.
And I think it's, you know, the Cincinnati Bengals and Joe Burrow situation is kind of a pretty similar thing. And we'll see. You know, I think if the Bengals can do it with Joe Burrow over the next few years, I think the Jaguars definitely should be able to do it with Urban Meyer and Trevor Lawrence. So I think, and that's one thing. No one gave the Bengals a hard time this year. They had the number 1 pick. They got Joe Burrow. They won 3 games and tied another. And no one was like, dude, the Bengals are trash. They, you know, that organization is just being run off a cliff. No one said that because they pretty much everyone in the NFL and NFL fandom understands that team was absolute trash before Joe Burrow came.
I mean, people were the opposite. Like, did you see how good Joe Burrow looked in that loss? Like, people were forgetting the result of the game to talk about Joe Burrow and how much better the Bengals looked.
Yeah. So. But here's one thing. I think Trevor Lawrence will probably come up into the NFL with a bigger mouth than Joe Burrow did. And a lot of times that will put a target on your back and people aren't going to have patience with you and they will call you trash if you have a bad game, even as a rookie. So hopefully the Bengals just don't have that perspective.
Yeah.
Or we'll not the Bengals. The Jaguars.
Yeah. I think that was the biggest news. I mean, I know there was more hirings and things of that nature, but I can't remember any big ones besides that.
Yeah.
I was just too pretty.
That was a big one.
Yeah. But hey, we had some good games this weekend, guys. We had some more really good football. But I have this thing that happens every year. It's after the divisional round. It's like, wow, I just watched 4 amazing games. And now there's only 3 games left until football's gone again. Like, that's that. I have that thought every single year after the divisional round. Like, there's less games until the season's over than I just watched in the past 48 hours.
That's really depressing, actually. Why did you bring that up?
I know.
That is so weird to think about, man. How many games happen in a season? It's like
A lot.
32 times 17 plus
16.
playoffs.
Yeah.
So, you know, we're in the
Hundreds of
last
games.
1% of games at this point.
3 more games. But anyway, yeah, let's just go through them. First of all, look, guys, last week you called me out. You said, guess what? Parker, looks like all your picks suck. Guess what, Austin? Looks like all your picks suck.
I never said your pick sucked, but I did pick badly. I only picked one game right. And I think
And
you were
both
4
your
for
new
4.
Super Bowl contenders are now eliminated.
Yeah. So
Mine too.
I'm going
Don't
back
worry,
to my
mine
old
are
ones.
too.
I'm going back to my old ones to remain.
See,
integrity.
that's a good move. I like
Because
it.
if I were to now switch to Bills Bucks, then I can't lose at all, and that just makes it so. But I think we knew this even before yesterday or Sunday. But the Buccaneers are better than the Steelers, so
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
yeah.
Well, okay, wait, hold on. I said yeah to that a little too fast. I need to think about that a little bit more.
How are the Steelers not worse than the Buccaneers?
Let's talk about. Let's just go to the game then. Let's talk about the Saints Buccaneers game.
Okay.
Which, by the way, if we're going to talk about picks, I'm the only one of us that called the Buccaneers to win. Another point for me. I have to do this now.
Wow, yeah. Things are really turning around for Parker in this postseason.
Exactly.
You were 4 for 4. So that was awesome.
You're literally the only one that has your Super Bowl pick even in the playoffs still.
That's true. One of my original ones is still in it. Not the one I picked. I picked your Seahawks to win. I won't make that mistake again. But anyway, look, I watched all the games. I watched the highlights, and obviously, if you're asking me what the Saints Buccaneers is all about, the Buccaneers didn't win that game. The Saints lost that game. Drew Brees threw 3 picks. Each one of them, no, sorry, there's 3 picks and a fumble lost, and 3 of the 4 turnovers turned into touchdowns for the Buccaneers, which also happened to be their only touchdowns of the game. And the only one of the turnovers that wasn't a touchdown was the end of the game where they knelt and won the game.
Mm-hmm.
So besides that, the Saints they were doing all right. They didn't look awful out there. It's just they would get going, another turnover, another pick, another Jared Cook fumble, and that was the difference in the game. The Buccaneers, on the flip side, like I said, they couldn't orchestrate a drive all the way down the field unless they got a good starting position with a turnover. So they weren't exactly firing on all cylinders. They were super opportunistic. They didn't turn over the ball like the Saints did, and they took advantage. So that's why, in that context, I have to say, maybe they're better than the Steelers, but I felt like they were kind of, the Saints allowed them to not only be in that game, but in the end, when you turn over the ball 4 times, you can't normally expect to win in the playoffs, and that's exactly what happened. Even with that being said, the score was pretty close until the end. So when you get 4 turnovers and they all turn into touchdowns, and it's still not winning by a whole lot, that means you weren't dominating. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Tom Brady didn't play perfect either. I think he threw a pick in that game as well. If we were to go off Drew Brees threw all those interceptions, who's to say that Ben Roethlisberger wouldn't have done that? Because we saw that happen against the Browns. So,
we saw Ben bring them back in that game, like I mentioned after the wild card.
We did, and I do give you that. But that's neither here nor there. The fact is, Steelers lost in the wild card round. Buccaneers are in the NFC Championship game, so
they are. That's true. You can't take that away. Of course.
Yeah. So, but that being said, Drew Brees looked bad, and feel like bad that I jumped off the Buccaneers bandwagon for a minute and got on the Saints one. But I mean, the Saints though, like, I mean, if Drew Brees doesn't play and they play Jameis Winston, do they win that game?
No, because Jameis throws picks. That's what. If they put someone, what I'm saying is, if they put someone in, even more of a game manager type player, kind of what you expect Drew Brees to normally be when he doesn't turn it over all the time, then they should put that game away. They did the one thing that would lose them the game, and that's give the ball back to the Buccaneers. That's literally, from my watching the game, that's the one thing that would make you lose if you're the Saints, and they did it.
And let's cut Drew Brees a little bit of slack. 2 of those turnovers, 2 of the interceptions, one was the receiver just had it right at the chest, threw it up in the air. There's no fault to Drew Brees for that one. And then another one was just a risky play by the Saints and absolutely amazing defense and reading the play by the defender. Same thing. You couldn't ask Drew Brees to do anything different. So it's not that Drew Brees had a terrible game. I think that's one thing. If you're going to give credit to the Buccaneers in any way, you give it to their cornerbacks and that defense that had a few good plays that kept them in the game and then won them the game. Because in the end, you know, if you were to look at the highlights of that game separately, with that, regardless of the score, or even don't even look at the touchdowns, just look at highlights of plays in between touchdowns, the Saints looked like a better team. I mean, Alvin Kamara was on a roll. Michael Thomas
didn't have a catch.
Didn't have a catch, but Emmanuel Sanders had a heck of a game, kind of took over Michael Thomas's slack. I think the Saints looked good. Obviously, the trick play with Jameis Winston was awesome and ballsy. That's exactly what you expect from Sean Payton. And really, the Buccaneers, kind of like what Parker said, the only good plays was Leonard Fournette had a few pretty good runs. But yeah, they literally won that game because of the field position they kept starting their possessions in. Absolutely.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. And I guess I can't take away from the Buccaneers, although I do think a lot of their turnovers, I won't call them luck, but, and you're right, like the bobbled pass for an interception, that's not on Drew, but at the same time, that kind of just fell in the lap of the Buccaneers. You know?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And some of the other picks, I would say the other 2 picks were more Drew through ill-advised passes, and then you had the fumble. So I feel like the Buccaneers just did a good job being opportunistic when they had a chance to make a play or they got it. And to Tom Brady's credit, when they got the turnovers, he turned them into points, which was a big deal.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, Thomas, I actually completely agree with you. Watching the game, I always felt like the Saints looked better when they were playing on offense until the turnovers happened.
Yeah.
Like they'd be having a good drive, they're moving, figuring out, and then boom, turnover, and it's over.
And that's the thing too. Like watching the first quarter, it was like, oh, dude, the Saints are it's gonna be a blowout. Like the first quarter, the Saints were steaming ahead. And really, the fourth quarter is when they completely lost it. I honestly feel like the Saints had that game in their clutch into the third quarter, and that's when it just kind of fell apart. I mean, 2 of Drew Brees' interceptions happened in the last 6 minutes of the game. One resulted in a touchdown, and one resulted in 1 first down and knees to end the game. And it was a close game. It was a good game. I think it's just one of those flukes. If the Saints had gotten past the Buccaneers, I think they would have put up a much better fight against the Packers. But yeah, I think the Packers are a little happier coming out of that last weekend.
They might be. Oh, and then one of the last questions of the game is do you guys think that's it for Drew Brees? Have we seen the last of him on a football field?
Probably. I know that he doesn't want to go out like that, but I mean, if he wants to be a hero for the Saints, it's probably time for him to retire, because that was something I was right about. But I mean, the Saints are going to be good. Like it's always going to be tempting to come back because that roster is just so loaded, and he's just loves playing for the Saints. New Orleans loves him. That temptation is always going to be there. But if he really wants to do the Saints a favor, he should probably hang him up.
Insider rumors today say that he is retiring, which usually those are right.
Yeah, I mean, and there was the camera caught him on the sidelines telling Jameis at the end of the game, like, "Hey, this is your team now." Who knows if it's Jameis's team or Taysom Hill's team, but apparently Drew decided to hand it over to Jameis. I'm telling you, man, no one in the NFL likes Taysom besides Sean Payton. He's the only one that likes Taysom Hill.
Yeah.
Well, he didn't play. I wonder how much that affected the game plan a little bit.
That's true.
It's a factor.
He didn't go in for a single play, which is so weird.
I think he was dealing with some sort of injury is why.
Oh, really? Oh.
I can't remember.
He didn't look like he was even dressed down for the game.
No. Okay. He had something. I can't remember what it was.
Yeah.
But anyway.
Here's the thing. There's also the pictures and stuff of Drew Brees, like one last look kind of thing.
Yeah.
He did that last year too, man. Like we all thought we had the one last look last year. But
I don't know. I was watching it. It did hit a little differently this time. Watching him, I was like, I think it's it.
Yeah, I think it is. Yeah, which, F's in the chat pay respects to Drew Brees and his stellar career.
Dude, he's going out of the league and put out by Tom Brady, who's now like, the path to the records are mine now. Like it's the one thing that's in his way. That's dirty. Yeah. But anyway, and the last thing, guys, Tom Brady is going to the NFC Championship his first year in the NFC. Like, are you kidding me? Like,
so you guys obviously saw how Bruce Arians said, kind of threw some flack on the Patriots. They didn't let Tom coach. I just kind of sit back and watch him do his thing, on the field and off the field. That guy, I do not like him.
Dude, he's dumb. The other soundbite I heard from him was like, yeah, I tell the players something, they just ignore me, but Tom says it, and they do it.
It's like he's like throwing a fit because he sucks at being a coach and Tom's better than him.
It's like honestly, he's telling everyone he sucks at being a coach.
If that stuff is true, I almost feel like Tom should be the coach and they could insert some other good quarterback and they'd probably be even better.
Dude, honestly, though, that's actually a really good point. I hadn't thought of that, but, it's kind of like, early on when we saw the problems with the Buccaneers in there. Their offensive line and they had penalties. They just didn't look disciplined, and they look totally different now because it's Tom's team. It's not Bruce Arians' team. This is Tom's team, and Tom's team doesn't do stuff like that. So, the culture he carries with him, I just have to say, it's amazing. He's the GOAT. Look, that's just fact. That's just ridiculous at this point.
It is. Yeah, he's the greatest. And
his legacy will be beyond Michael Jordan's if he wins the Super Bowl this year. It'll be more undisputed than any greatest great of any sport, I think.
I absolutely agree.
Yeah. And that's why I'm rooting for him on Sunday.
Well, let's transition to that opponent's game.
The Pack and the Rams.
Packers-Rams.
Finally, these freaking Rams are gone.
They had no reason to be in that place that they were.
Only there because Thomas bet on them. That's the only reason they made it. Luck.
Oh, man.
I don't know. What do you guys take away from the game?
I don't know. The Packers are legit, and I don't know. That's it. It's hard to judge because it's like we don't really know how good the Rams really are. And Aaron Donald was like at half capacity that game. And then Jared Goff was just doing Jared Goff things. I thought the game plan of the Rams was actually pretty good, and they stayed in it for quite a while. They were in a position to win the game for a lot of it.
Mm-hmm.
So it was impressive showing by the Rams, but I mean, all in all, they were the inferior team, and there's nothing that could be done. So
Yeah.
That's kind of yeah. Yeah, I would agree. Like it was really just just like the better team just won. There wasn't really any one turning point in the game or anything. Like the Packers were just better. I would say the biggest thing that I saw watching it, because I really think it did just come down to, in the end, it was Aaron Rodgers versus Jared Goff, because both teams' running games were able to get going. Aaron Jones got going. Cam Akers had yards. Their defenses both made plays, and neither quarterback turned over the ball. But the big difference was, for one, Jared Goff. I think I've realized one of the big things I don't like about when I watch him play. He's either throwing the ball away way too fast, or he's sitting in the pocket too long and taking a sack. And he took a lot of sacks that he shouldn't have taken in that game against the Packers, and that's one of the big things. And if there's any other difference maker besides that, it's probably comes down to that touchdown that Aaron Rodgers ran in. That play to me, I was like,
MVP.
that's what you get when you have Aaron Rodgers as your quarterback, man. Like, it's just that pump fake with a defender right in his face, like ready to make the tackle, and then he runs it in. That was pretty vintage Rodgers. That's the kind of stuff that lots of quarterbacks are emulating and putting in their game now. But that's kind of been what Aaron Rodgers has been about for a while. So they look good.
One thing that I take away from this game too is I'm even more pissed at the Seahawks now, because apparently if you want Aaron Donald to be completely irrelevant, is you double team him, because the Packers offensive line double teamed him on like 80% of the plays, and he was almost a non-factor in the game, which is pretty impressive. We've known obviously that the Packers offensive line has been very well, performed very well this season. But I mean, you could just see him. Obviously, Aaron Donald didn't play all the defensive snaps. He's probably still banged up from, I don't know, a collapsed lung or something against the Seahawks. Either way, though, he was completely shut down by being double teamed, and I just wish the Seahawks had done that.
Yeah,
but our offensive line sucks, so we can't. But
it was for a defense that keeps getting other teams frustrated. It looked like the Rams at several points, their defense was getting pissed off at what Aaron Rodgers was doing.
Oh yeah,
like the touchdown pass where Devontae Adams ran across the line, and Jalen Ramsey was on the other side trying to chase him as fast as he could, but they still got the pass. And then Jalen Ramsey looked pissed, hopping around, pointing at his players.
Dude, that was that play. I don't know why, because I've watched so much football in my life, but that play to me, I was like, wow, that was an amazing play call. Like just the whole design of that play, and it was play action. And this is one of those things where Aaron Rodgers is just so incredible to me. The reason he called Devontae Adams to go into motion again, go into motion and go, because he went into motion to line up on the left side of the field and then sprinted back. The signal was there was a safety lined up behind the linebackers in the end zone, and Aaron Rodgers knew he was going to be in Ramsey's way. So he's like, oh, he is going to have to run around this guy. I'm gonna call motion again, and he's gonna be wide
Yeah.
open. That was such a cool play and such good defensive reading by Aaron Rodgers. It's
For
just
sure. Absolutely.
I don't like Aaron Rodgers. He's a Packer, but you gotta give the guy respect.
You do.
Oh, yeah.
And I think that was great too, because I know Jalen Ramsey was like, I'm traveling with Devontae Adams. I'll line up with him no matter where he's at on the field. And they directly used that against him in the end zone. So it was a good game, but yeah, the Packers just look better.
Yeah, that's why Jalen Ramsey was so pissed and yelling. He was yelling at that safety. He's like, "You were in my way," but it's like that was your defensive call. That's how you were lined up. Aaron Rodgers just saw that, and I saw this meme this week, or I don't know if it was a meme or it was a tweet by an NFL player, an NFL defensive player. But at one point in the game, there's a close up of Aaron Rodgers, right before a play, and you see him like reading the defense, and then he just gets this smirk on his face, like, I know exactly what I'm gonna do, and you guys are gonna pay. And he said something like, every defensive player in the NFL knows how terrified they get when they see that smirk on Aaron Rodgers' face. I just thought that was so funny because he does that multiple times a game. You know a play was extremely successful because of his intuition and his ability to read defenses.
Yeah,
he's a great pre-snap quarterback for sure.
Yeah,
and post-snap,
and that's why he's so good, right?
Yeah,
he's MVP for sure.
Yeah.
Oh, all right.
Wait, here's one other stat that I saw today that I thought was really interesting. Aaron Rodgers has been blitzed 185 times this season. He's been sacked 4 times. And 3 of those sacks came in one game. It was week 6 versus the Bucs. That's really good.
His pocket presence is unbelievable. The one play as well, if that's not the most impressive play of Aaron Rodgers, then it has to be, for me, the one where they were in their own end zone and Rodgers was sitting in there. And, dude, the pocket was collapsing. I'm like, he's going to get safety for sure. Like, there was defenders on all sides, and he's just in their own end zone. But he felt when the pressure was coming, and he got it was like a 20-yard perfect pass out of that collapsing pocket. I'm like, oh my gosh. Like he knew he wasn't going to get sacked in the next second or two, and that's why he stayed in there, because he knows how long he has. He's a great quarterback. That's the moral of all of our stories here.
No way around it. Yeah.
No way around it. All right. Speaking of great quarterbacks, the debate is settled as well. I mean, not really, but kind of. We the Bills-Ravens game. That well, I guess honestly the next 2 games, kind of both of them have a little bit of like an asterisk next to them. Now the Chiefs ended a little bit differently, so we don't need to even worry about it really. But Bills-Ravens, to me, it was a back and forth game. Really, in the first half, it was defenses staying strong, lots of missed field goals because it was windy in Buffalo.
Yeah.
But then in the second half, everything changed when Lamar Jackson threw a 101-yard pick 6 and got hit in the head and went in concussion protocol and left the game. And there it goes. Like, that's just it at that point. Yeah. I don't know. Well, any other insights into what we saw besides that?
Well, real quick on Josh Allen and the Lamar Jackson thing. I'm converted. Watching Josh Allen over the season, because one thing is, like, I like quarterbacks that can throw. So before, I knew Josh Allen could throw, but now I see that he has the.
Are you saying Lamar Jackson can't throw?
I'm saying that he'll never be nearly as good as Josh Allen. So,
okay.
And I'm almost kind of in that boat, because I want to transition to that now, because I'm like, the backup that came in threw a better ball than Lamar Jackson does. I'm like, his balls are much prettier. They go a lot farther. He can throw a spiral that lasts a lot longer than Lamar. And he would have hit that wide receiver that was open if the wind didn't catch the ball. I mean, I was like, yeah, maybe the critics about Lamar, man, they have merit. But
Yeah,
but the thing
this is
that
one of my proudest moments right here. Just got to say it right now. Look, guys, I got a lot of things wrong, but if I got this one right, and I sounded like an idiot when I said it, and now I got people saying I'm right, that's all I need.
the earlier you call it, the better it is. Because no, seriously, just going off the previous 2 seasons, there was no reason to believe that Lamar had an MVP and Josh Allen looked like, I don't know, he struggled in 2-minute situations.
Yeah,
but well, that's the thing though about the Bills. So a lot of people are really excited about the Bills, right? Like Patrick Mahomes the Bills can beat the Chiefs. We put it in perspective. The Bills only scored 10 points, and the only other times they were going to score were field goals, and I think they missed 2. So it'd have been like 16 points, or is it the Ravens that missed 2? And
the Ravens boinked 2 off the goalposts in the first half, and then I know the Bills missed at least 1. I don't remember if any more were missed or not.
So it could have been 13-9,
something like that.
Yeah. So I mean, like, it's not like they dominated, and they scored. Yeah, they only scored 10 points, and give a lot of credit to the defense. It's a very defensive game. But here's the thing that drives me crazy, is that the Bills didn't have a rushing attempt the whole first quarter. And that's Tampa Bay Buccaneers against the Saints, that one game type of shiz. Like, that doesn't get me excited about their next game. And I know a lot of people are, really like Brian Dable and all that. And, he's great because obviously the Bills have been turned around. He's definitely part of it. But I'm not a fan of that kind of play calling, even if it doesn't work. I mean, I think that's part of why they only scored that many points is because, like, they were just playing pass the whole time. There was no reason to worry about the run. And that worries me about the Buffalo Bills.
Yeah. And the one thing I'll say, too, that as a negative from what I saw of the Bills this game, I did see a little bit of Josh Allen's immaturity in the position a little bit. Probably the biggest play that stuck out to me was where he just tried to do too much, where the pocket was collapsing on him. He had a decent amount of time, and he either needed to take the sack or throw it away, but he tried to do something. The ball got stripped. He fumbled it. Luckily, the Bills fell on it. But if they didn't, like, that would have been, to me, a pretty ugly turnover by the Bills that probably could have changed the whole game, honestly. And the Bills got lucky. Because I'm like,
now.
That is. They've been also opportunistic and lucky because Josh Allen is a lot better than last year, but he's not a veteran yet, is what I'm going to say. And that still comes through, which we'll see what. I mean, I'll just say this: depending on which quarterback he plays, it's going to be a big deal.
Yeah.
What, Thomas? Do you have any other takeaways from this one?
Not really. I think you guys covered most of it. I just think I predicted the Bills to win. I think the Bills have a lot of momentum right now, imperfections or not. No, I almost just feel like that's the Ravens, though. They're good and they'll win a lot of games and they'll make it to the playoffs. But, the higher they get, the later they get into the playoffs, the more they look like a gadget team. I don't know what I'm trying to explain. It's just, I think they're missing it a little bit on the defense, but they're also missing it a little bit on the offense. And there's not really one thing you can pinpoint it at, but it doesn't surprise me that the Bills won. And it doesn't surprise me that the Ravens didn't make it any further. And I honestly don't see them ever making it to an AFC championship unless major things change. I think they're good. Lamar is good. And maybe that's what it is. Playing almost a wildcat offense with so much running off the quarterback, it just gives too many opportunities for major mistakes to be made. And then the only reason you're doing that in the first place is because your quarterback is better at running than throwing. And whenever your quarterback is better at running than throwing, you're going to have some throwing mistakes made, like those interceptions and stuff. So I don't know. I think if anything, this game kind of just confirmed that, the Ravens are good, but I don't think they're great. And the Bills are good, but they still have a ways to go. Same thing. I don't think the Bills beat the Chiefs. I think they're going to land right where they deserve to this season, is in the AFC Championship. But they're not quite to that next tier of eliteness that seems like the Chiefs are.
Yes, but this might be Bills Mafia's luckiest year of their lives, because the last game we have to talk about, serious news came out of it. Now, Browns Chiefs. To me, I mean, watching this game, I really wanted the Browns to win. And barring a few things, they could have been in it. The Chiefs came out hot. It was pretty obvious from the beginning they weren't going to sleep through the first half like the Steelers. They scored on their first possession. But, I mean, I guess probably the real turning point, or the start of the turning point, was that near touchdown that ended up being a fumble into the end zone and a touchback.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like, at that point, it became an uphill battle for sure.
Yeah.
What do you guys think about that call?
I thought it was the right
rules.
call.
It's the rules, so I mean,
well,
that's how it goes.
I personally think that was blatantly head-to-head contact, and it should have been a flag for a personal foul on the Chiefs' defensive player. He dove head first. And I don't know, I can see the argument where it's like he was trying to connect with his shoulder first, but he didn't. It was head-to-head contact, and I personally think it was a dangerous play, and that's what the call should have been. But
I can definitely see that. But I am seeing a lot of people or just think that the rule itself of fumbling into the end zone is a dumb rule. And I think those takes are pretty stupid, to be honest. I'm like, you only have a problem with that rule because it went against what you wanted to happen. Like, there's no other reason to not like to have an issue with the rule. I've always thought I don't love any rule or love that rule or anything, but I think it shouldn't be done away with or anything.
Yeah, I think rules like that just give defenses more opportunities to influence the score of the game. And, defenses have it harder out in the first place because their main job is just to slow down or stop the offense. But any opportunity to create a turnover or a big defensive play, I think there should be, or else it would be really one-sided.
Right, yeah, and there needs to be incentive to maintain control of the football when you're trying to score a touchdown.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest thing for me.
Yeah, exactly, and to go along with it, I guess the offense already gets a break. Like, for example, if you fumble out of bounds, the offense keeps it in that case. So I feel like almost it's like balancing out. But if you fumble into the end zone, then, the defense gets that ball. I don't know. I don't guess we want to get into in depth with it, but I think that's a little dumb. But then, then the other thing was in the second half, the Browns had their chance because Patrick Mahomes left with a concussion, just like Lamar Jackson. And when the why do I keep saying Buffalo? When the Browns had the ball, and it was 5 minutes to go, and they were down less than a score, I was sure at that point that the Browns were going to win it. I was like, they got this. They definitely have it. And they did nothing but flounder a drive and not get it back. So the Browns can only be mad at themselves because they were in control of their own destiny at the end of the game. They could have taken almost the entire time to get down that field and score, and they couldn't even get a first down when they needed it. So, yeah. And if that wasn't enough to prove that the Browns didn't deserve it, because I said I'm rooting for the Browns when freaking the backup quarterback ran for 14 yards on that third and long. I was like, dude, Browns, no, you don't get
Yeah.
this. When you let that happen and you're about to get the ball back and have a shot, nah. The Chiefs win this. They win.
Mhm.
My reaction to that was that clip of Stephen A. going, "How do you do that? How do you do that?" I was like, how do you do that?
Seriously.
How do you let Channing just like run all that way?
I know. I couldn't believe it because watching, when they're panning with him running, you can't see what's in front of him very far. So I kept waiting for a defender to come in and tackle him, but he just kept running. There just kept being no defender until he got to the 1 inch line of the first down. I was like, this is stupid. Come on, Browns. You needed to do that.
Yeah,
I thought it was funny too. The other major play by Henny was, and this is the first time I think I've seen Tony Romo blatantly wrong on his
Yeah.
play calling abilities, where it did, most of the time. What was it? I can't remember what down it was.
It was fourth and inches right after that run.
That's right. It was right after that run. 4th and inches, 2-minute warnings coming up. It looks like they're just trying to draw some sort of neutral zone infraction or some sort of offsides. And Andy Reid has the guts to not only play, actually call a play there, but to call passing play with your backup quarterback. And it was just like, it just worked so perfect. And it was like, oh yeah, like,
dude,
like
that's a
work playoff
out.
Play, right? Like that's the kind of plays you want to see in the playoffs.
Kind of, but man, that's one because it worked. But dude, that's the kind of play where if it works, you're a genius. If it doesn't, what the freak are you doing?
Yeah.
Like on 4th and 1 with your backup quarterback throwing it. I mean, I didn't. I like it because it worked, but besides that, I actually didn't like it.
Well, yeah, of course, but that's what those plays are. It's kind of like the Seahawks running it on 2nd down. Sometimes you just gotta take those plays, and sometimes they work and sometimes they don't. But that's sports. That's football.
That is sports.
Yeah, it's true. It's true.
Yeah. And it worked, It always seems to work out when you're the Chiefs, man. Just no one's ever calling you stupid because it just works every time. I don't know. Yeah. I mean, in the end, the Chiefs deserved to win that game. They absolutely did, and they won it with. Yeah, but I guess the huge question is, first of all, no one knows if Patrick Mahomes will be good to go for this game. Oh my gosh, the stupidest take I heard though, and maybe other listeners heard it. Freaking Colin Cowherd, dude. And I never watched Cowherd. I saw this clip somewhere else, but he was like literally saying they should delay the game to whenever Patrick Mahomes is healthy. I was like, shut up, dude. Shut up. This is not the Patrick Mahomes National League, okay? If that's your actual take, that's really, really dumb.
That is really dumb.
Yeah, that was
bad. No other player has ever had any thought of having a game be postponed. I guess the only one exception would be this year with COVID and Lamar Jackson. They just wouldn't play that game until Lamar didn't have COVID anymore.
Which was pretty interesting. But I saw probably my favorite meme from this week, because there have been reports and rumors that he's going to play this weekend, which it's like, look, the tackle was weird. It didn't really look like it should have been a concussion, but that guy was wobbling off the field.
Yeah, it was.
So I think just that right there, it's like, dude, 2 weeks at least concussion protocol. But then reports are saying he's going to play, and the meme is did you see the Weekend at Barney's? And it has Andy Reid on one side and Roger Goodell on the other, holding up Pat Mahomes with sunglasses on Weekend at Barney's. That's what this weekend's gonna look like.
Dude, yeah, there was good memes about it, man. I remember I saw a meme Patrick Mahomes goes out with concussion, And then like the team doctor's like, how many fingers I'm holding up? He's like, oh, yellow. And they're like, all right, you're good. Get out there, man. Like,
No, here's another good one I
they'll
saw.
try and get him on, that's for sure. Yeah.
Another good one is another SpongeBob reference, where it's
All
from
right,
some.
let's try this again.
It's from some episode where like SpongeBob, they're like in this hallway, and SpongeBob's like, "Come on, Patrick." The best thing is it's Patrick is like the same name, but he's like, "Come on, Patrick, let's go." And Patrick is like behind him, like looking the opposite direction, just like, "Okay." And SpongeBob's like, "No, this way, Patrick." It's just like,
Wow.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I think if he does play this weekend, there's something fishy. To me,
It's possible. It's very possible. I mean, that's risky stuff. If Patrick Mahomes really doesn't clear concussion protocol and he plays, I mean, like Patrick Mahomes, like you have a long career ahead of you, man. Like you'll get to more AFC championships. So I don't know.
But to play devil's advocate, it really didn't look like it was a concussive tackle. It was just a weird like tweak of the neck or something. I don't know. I don't know what to take from it.
Yeah, I don't know. But one thing I do know is whether he plays or not is going to be obviously, no surprise to anyone listening, a big deal for what happens in the AFC Championship game. And I guess since we've talked about all the games now, I guess all that's left is to kind of make our picks and of the games to come. And if we're going to start with the AFC, at least from my perspective, Bills versus Chiefs, if Patrick Mahomes plays, I still feel really solid about my pick of the Chiefs, winning and getting through that. If Patrick Mahomes doesn't play, I do think the Bills win, but I think it's just when you have Andy Reid as a coach, man, like it's not going to be, just a gimme, like the Bills automatically win if Patrick Mahomes isn't in, which is a scary thought that it wouldn't be that way, with such a loss of talent. But I think it would still be a game, even if he doesn't clear the concussion protocol.
Who knows though? Is Chad Henne? Is he the next Nick Foles? Coming in back up in the playoffs, take it to the Super Bowl. We're gonna win.
I mean, I'm making sure I didn't get my backup Chiefs quarterback with my backup Ravens quarterback, but I'm pretty sure it was Chad who threw the bad pick in the end zone to the Browns.
Yeah.
He
didn't score at all.
See, exactly. That's when that happened, and now the Browns have the ball and they're going down the field. I'm like, they win. I mean, come on, the guy just lofted an ugly pick. They're not putting up any more points, and the Browns just have to go down the field like they have all the time in the world. So.
It was a wild game. Like, it was a wild game to watch.
It was. So, yeah, I'm not saying he's going to come in and do a Patrick Mahomes impression to win the game. It would just have to be really impressive coaching and really impressive play calls to get him in the right situations, which, if there's any coach in the league right now who I'm trusting to do that, it's definitely Andy Reid.
Definitely.
So, that's why I can't count him out.
Oh, sorry about that.
If they do survive this NFC or AFC Championship without Pat Mahomes, isn't there a 2-week break until the Super Bowl?
Yeah.
So there'd be more than enough time for him to come off concussion protocol if they make it past this game.
Definitely. If it's like we say, if that's just a concussion, I mean, I bet. I guess I'll make this prediction too. I bet Patrick Mahomes plays because a week is normally I won't say normally, but a lot of players can clear concussion protocol in a week, depending on the severity, obviously, but it's not unrealistic by any stretch. And there's doctors currently inventing new ways to treat concussions right now just to get Patrick Mahomes in that game.
And it's like the COVID vaccine. Everyone's like, dude,
Yeah,
We
if
gotta-
like COVID vaccine was done in like a week, because that's how much more people care about this than cancer research, any of that crap. Like, dude, we're gonna figure out a way to cure concussions right now. But anyway, shoot, I lost my train of thought. What were we even talking? Oh, you
I
were
think-
saying, yeah, they'll be in the, Patrick. If they win this week, if the Chiefs do, if Patrick Mahomes doesn't play this week, I'm sure he'll be in the Super Bowl for
Yeah.
sure.
He'll have 2 more weeks.
Yeah,
so.
exactly. Yeah. So Parker, your prediction is Chiefs win if Pat Mahomes plays and Bills win if he doesn't?
Yes, and I know that's a caveat, but I mean, I don't know how you can't add that disclaimer when it's like you have Patrick Mahomes or you don't have Patrick Mahomes is the difference. But I would say if they have Patrick Mahomes, I'll give them the Chiefs 75% chance to win. If they don't, I still give the Chiefs a 40% chance to win that game if Pat is out.
Right. What are your thoughts, Austin?
That was my take exactly. So I don't have anything to add to that. I'm not gonna make fun takes anymore. I'm going back to the basics.
I mean, to be fair, I'm pretty sure this is the same take like every single person in the NFL was making about this game right now. We're not saying anything revolutionary, unless Thomas.
I disagree with your take.
Oh.
No, I'm just kidding.
Dude.
I'm just
No, dude. No, I was ready. I would
for the sake of not agreeing, I would like to come like pull something out of my butt that sounds like halfway decent, but I couldn't. I think that's what it comes down to too.
I mean, I'm torn. I really don't like the Chiefs. I'm a Broncos fan. I don't want to see them win. At the same time, I would rather watch, Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes play each other in the championship just for the sake of the game. Yeah. So, like, I'm not sure. The best case scenario, what I want to happen is Patrick Mahomes plays and the Bills beat them. That would be the best.
But then, that's the thing. If that happens, it's always gonna be like, well, like Patrick Mahomes, he wasn't 100%. His neck was. He actually didn't.
That doesn't matter.
He didn't clear concussion protocol. But no, I honestly think he does play, and they do win.
Yeah,
but
I think so too.
It'll be a good game. I think at this point, every game is going to be a good game. I don't think we're going to see too many more blowouts at this point of the year.
I don't think
the playoffs have been better than the whole regular season so far.
Oh, absolutely.
They have. Absolutely. Yeah, definitely. Every game's been good.
Been worth the price of admission for sure to watch these games.
And the price of admission is our teams aren't there.
Yeah. I was watching the game, sitting next to Cora, and I was just like, you know what would make this better? If the Cowboys were playing.
Yeah.
Well,
but they're not.
The Seahawks were there. They made an appearance.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about the Packers Bucks game.
Let's do it.
So, I think especially coming off last week, and I think we kind of probably gave away our predictions just in the way we talked so highly of Aaron Rodgers. I'm interested to see your opinions, but I believe Packers win because they are a better team. They don't win games by the other teams losing themselves. And yeah, I just think that offense is even too dominant for the Bucks defense. And same thing, close game, good game. But as badly as Tom Brady probably wants to win the Super Bowl and then call Bill Belichick afterwards and rip it in his face, I think Tom leaves the league in the NFC Championship.
Well,
you think he retires if he loses?
No.
Is that what you're saying?
No, just leaves the league for the rest of the season.
Okay. Yeah, well, this is another game, kind of like the Saints-Buccaneers game where, there's lots to talk about based on their regular season matchup, which if we can dial the clocks back, that's that game where the Buccaneers defense dismantled the Packers is what launched the Buccaneers hype train into the stratosphere.
Yeah.
And it was about that time everyone hopped on the bandwagon and then subsequently hopped off when the Saints kept whooping them every time. So
Yes.
I guess you just got to go off of, like, is it going to be like that again? Is the Buccaneers, do they like have Aaron Rodgers and the Packers like have their number as far as their defense, or are things going to be different? I personally I agree with you. I think the Packers will win the game just because they're just in such a stride. It's like you said, like, I don't Aaron Rodgers, if the formula for success is to not turn over the ball, which it was for the Saints, and they turn the ball over, I think the Packers will not turn the ball over, is what I'm trying to say. They won't make that mistake. I think Aaron Rodgers, first of all, he never is known to throw picks. He'll throw it out of bounds. He'll run it. He just doesn't throw a lot of picks. He never has.
Yeah.
And so if it come to shove, and it's more of a points are tough to get and turnovers are deadly, I don't think the Packers are going to make the same mistake the Saints are. And I think they're going to, if it's that sort of game where it's kind of back and forth, I think the Packers will overcome. But if you want my honest guess, I think the Packers offense keeps rolling. I don't think the Buccaneers are going to really, their defense isn't going to look at all like what it looked like this past week.
Mhm.
I think the Packers are they're gonna put up points pretty well.
Yeah. One thing that I thought of, so Aaron Rodgers was asked this week, I don't know if it was on the Pat McAfee show or something else, but they were like, well, keep in mind, you guys lost to the Bucs early this season, 38-10. Does that game have any relevance in your viewpoint looking into this weekend? And Aaron Rodgers said, yeah, I think that game has as much relevance as when the Saints beat them 38-3. So, you know, they've faced off before, and it was a very drastic outcome in favor of the Bucs. But the Bucs faced the Saints before, and the Saints absolutely destroyed them. So it's just playoffs are different. I don't think you can base it on the past, but it sounds like Aaron Rodgers is pretty confident going in.
What do you think, Austin?
Yeah, I agree. I think the Packers will win. Yeah, Aaron Rodgers is nimbler and more accurate, and I think when it comes just team to team, I think it's pretty even. I mean, Tom's got more weapons. I think it helps that the Packers are at home this time. Well, Tom Brady's used to the cold weather, but the rest of his team's not. And yeah, I just think the Packers are just on that roll. I'm not rooting for them to win. Definitely rooting for the Buccaneers to win, but I'm just going to appreciate quarterback greatness because now that Tom Brady's not on the Patriots anymore, I can like him more because, it's not adding more Lombardi trophies to New England. So I will just want to appreciate greatness more than I did when he was playing for the New England. And I don't think I could ever, though. I respect Aaron Rodgers' greatness as well, and he's an amazing quarterback. There's no doubt about that. But I just can't forget him for what he's done to my Cowboys. So I will never root for him unless he's wearing the star, which is never going to happen. So,
Dude, yeah, I mean, speaking of memes, because we keep referencing the memes, like there's so many, just text memes like, in the past, 20-something years, the Cowboys have made it to 0 NFC championships.
Yeah.
Tom Brady.
Brady's already made it to 1 in 1 year.
Yeah. I mean, it's crazy. If the Buccaneers win, then Tom Brady will have won as many NFC championships as Aaron Rodgers has.
That's
NFC.
true. That's true.
That's just silly to think about. Or another meme is like I don't always win AFC championships, but when I don't, I win NFC championships.
Yeah. I saw that. That was good.
But anyway, the other thing I was thinking about is it seems like now the league is pretty lopsided, and as far as NFC's got all of the quote unquote older quarterbacks for the most part. Aaron Rodgers is starting to get in that category. Obviously, Tom Brady and Drew Brees are the old timers of the league, and Drew might be on his way out. But it seems like the AFC is all up and coming guys that are leading it. Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, and we got our Ben Roethlisbergers and all that. But the top dogs are the young guys over in the AFC. So
Yeah, it's interesting.
yeah,
The NFC just feels older anyway. Maybe it's because they were the OG conference, but
yeah,
it fits.
yeah.
So.
Well, so I'll say this too. If we're talking about just overall how we feel, my adjusted Super Bowl prediction, which I had to make because my team went out, the Seahawks, I was forced to go to someone else. I do honestly right now like the Packers more than anyone. I like them over the Chiefs, even if Patrick Mahomes does play going forward and if they make it to the Super Bowl. The Packers just look to me like everything's going right for them. Their offense is good. Their defense is playing up to the challenge, and I don't know. I don't see anyone, even the Chiefs right now, outdueling them personally.
Yeah, I agree. I'm going back to my OG pre-playoffs picks to Packers Chiefs, and I agree. I think the Packers at this point in time are better than the Chiefs as well. Because as convincing as the win against the Browns was, I feel like they could have beaten them by a lot more. So I think that the Packers haven't missed a beat, and they're hotter, and the Chiefs are, just kind of gliding in on just their talent. And I think Aaron Rodgers has more to prove than Patrick Mahomes if they were to play at this point in his career, just because it's been it's been 10 years since he's won his last Super Bowl. Yeah, exactly. And so he's like, I need to prove it by winning a second one, whereas Patrick Mahomes has years to still do that, where Aaron Rodgers' window is getting shorter and shorter.
For sure, man. And to beat Patrick Mahomes, basically his younger, more talented clone in the eyes of many. I mean, he'll have the chip on his shoulder. I mean, Patrick Mahomes, he's taken his moves, he's taken his throws, he's taken his State Farm endorsements, he's taken everything. He can't take this Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Here's how I feel. I think the game is decided. I agree. I think it's Packers Chiefs Super Bowl. But I think the game is going to be decided second half. Because hypothetically, if the Chiefs are down by over a score going into the second half, going into halftime, they're going to get their pep talk. We got to win this and stuff. But they're all thinking, it's cool if we lose. We won last year. A repeat would be great. But if we lose, it's no big deal. Okay.
Wait, are you saying that's what they're saying?
If they're going into halftime,
no one says that, dude. No one says that in the Super Bowl. If we lose, it's fine. What are you talking about?
That's what I'm saying. Someone on that team, if they're losing by more than one score at halftime, is going to think that, and mentally, it's going to hinder them. But at the same time. And I would think probably not in the Super Bowl, but Aaron Rodgers, if he has a bad first half, he has a terrible second half. He's probably most listeners won't know this analogy, but Clint Dempsey is a professional soccer player, played in the English Premier League, came and played for the Seattle Sounders, who I'm a big fan of for a handful of years. He's the same way, where when he's just pissed off and they're losing, you can just tell he kind of gives up and he just gets frustrated, and the game, he's mentally checked out. And I've seen Aaron Rodgers do that before. So second half, if they're down by 10, 14 points, he's thrown a pick or two. In a normal game, he would check out as well. Hopefully not in the Super Bowl. I'm just pulling crap out of my butt. But I think the game is going to be decided in the second half. I want the Packers to win because I think I would rather have Aaron Rodgers win the Super Bowl than the Chiefs do a repeat. But my official prediction is going to be Chiefs. I think the Packers offense is better, but I think the Chiefs are a well-rounded team when compared against the Packers, and Andy Reid is an absolutely stellar coach. And Andy Reid deserves to win every Super Bowl with the career he's had. So, yeah, I would like the Packers to win. It'd be cool, but I think the Chiefs do.
I will say this. If we do get the Packers-Chiefs Super Bowl, in the eyes of many, especially casual, maybe they only watch the Super Bowl or watch a few games a year, it'll probably be one of the most exciting Super Bowl games ever. I think and I say that because I don't see any defense as really being able to stop the other offense.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you get some Super Bowls, Goff when the Rams comes out and they just kind of flop and just like, they didn't put up a great game. And we've had a few Super Bowls like that, but this is a Super Bowl I can't envision one of the quarterbacks playing an ugly game. Like, it's going to be a duel between two great quarterbacks.
I like how you decided to bring up the Rams and Goff game and not your Broncos and Peyton Manning game for a flop. But
that was a flop. You're right.
I guess the Rams is more recent, so that's probably why you thought of it. But
now that being said, I had to think about which Peyton Manning Super Bowl game you meant because one of those we won. I remember.
They did. Absolutely.
Yeah. But no, that's a good comparison. Yeah, no, but I think this would be a really, really good game.
It would be a fantastic game. And I'm related to, through marriage, a family of diehard Packers fans. And this last week we watched the game and there was a cheese fountain. Not a chocolate fountain, a cheese fountain amongst many other Wisconsin Packers fan themed dishes. So I can only imagine what the Super Bowl is going to be like in that household.
Dude, man. That's the only thing that makes me want to be a Packers fan is you can have cheese
all the cheese.
You can have cheese all you want now, Parker.
No, dude, you got to be a Packers fan. To have a cheese fountain, you have to be a Packers fan.
They've got the hats. They got the club hats.
You got to have the cheesehead hats. That's part of the Packers fandom wardrobe. So,
well, without any further ado, we want to congratulate those that have made it this far into the podcast this week. Thank you for being here. You guys are awesome. If you like what we do, if you enjoy our content, go ahead and give us the thumbs up, subscribe, comment, and tune in next week for more. Thank you.
Later.